everyone, Draco Magnius here for another episode of Drakengard 2 Weapon Stories. This time we're here covering the Iron Dragon set, which consists of Eris's spear, Noe's sword, and Noe's longsword in that order. Before we begin, I want to say this is the second time I'm recording this. There were some audio glitches in my first recording, so I'm doing it now. Hopefully we won't have that problem again. But without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Once, there was a man called the Iron Dragon of the Two Swords, famed for his dignity and countless acts of heroism. The owner of this spear was a female knight who trained him. Whether because of its uncommon quality, or because it was a gift from the Iron Dragon, she always left for battle with this spear in her hands. During a mission, she faced a terrible choice. Ordered to retreat, she stood between countless enemy troops and a defenseless village. Ignoring her orders, she stayed and fought to the death. The enemy paraded her violated remains, then burned the village to ash, while her former allies sullied her name with the charge of insubordination. When Iron Dragon found out what had happened, he charged into enemy territory and retrieved his beloved mentor's remains and her spear. Cradling her broken body in his arms, he swore to win back her good name, to become as noble a knight as she had been, and to raise knights who would give their lives to protect the people. Eris inherited this spear, a memento of these two noble heroes. One can only wonder about what she thinks and for whom she fights. But the fallen knights can rest in peace, knowing that their magnanimity of spirit lives on. This sword belonged to a hero called Iron Dragon of the Two Swords. It was a gift from a female knight who trained him for his first battle. It saved the lives of many, including Iron Dragon. He cherished it as though it were his own body. One day, Iron Dragon entered a hidden land, led by a priest's divine guidance. There, he met a dragon who spoke the words of men, and a child who spoke the words of dragons. Iron Dragon knew right away that this must be the legendary savior, and asked for custody of the boy, but the dragon sneered. "What right have you to take this child from his father? What could you possibly offer him?" And the Iron Dragon replied, "I shall become the child's father. Without knowledge of human ways, this child would grow up to become a wingless dragon, a pointless creature. I vow to raise him to be a fine knight, so it is a future that I offer to the child." Amused, the dragon said, "Fine. You shall take the child, but I shall come with him, for only I can teach him the ways of dragons." The Iron Dragon agreed, then presented his sword as a token of his pledge. The dragon sneered at the foolish human gesture, and threw the sword into his lair, the only world his child had ever known until then. A gift from the previous general, Noe received this sword on the day he joined the Knights as a trainee. Since taking him in from the wild, General Auror had been Noe's human father, teaching him the ways of men. Auror was a strong and generous man, whose skill with the sword was without equal. He was Noe's hero. Mocked by some as a wild beast, Noe dreamed of one day becoming as strong and generous a human being as his adopted father. Cherishing that dream, he trained every day with his sword, and lived the life of a knight. During Noe's first battle, Auror saved his life. The cruel reality of war, all the noise and blood and death, was too much for the young Noe to take in. He stood transfixed, frozen with fear. Seeing this, Auror rushed to his son's side and commanded Noe to listen carefully to his words. "The sword takes life, but it also saves the lives of your friends. What matters is the will of the one who holds the sword." So, would Noe use this sword to take life, or save it? Neither the sword nor Auror could answer that question. Shame Noe's incredibly incompetent.